Hello, I'm going to be talking about Kenosha, the Liverpool bombing so far as we know up to now, and Enniskillen. And I'm going to be telling you what they have in common and what they can teach us. Also, what we should remember. So let's start with the Rittenhouse trial. In a previous video, I asked why that trial was going on, considering that by dint of the absurd behaviour of the prosecution, combined with the baying violence of the mob, who I understand are threatening the life of the judge, and even President Biden accused Rittenhouse of being a white supremacist even before the trial had started. So it's obvious the dogs had their fangs out already. The whole thing has descended into slapstick. I mean, slapstick is, after all, a combination of preposterousness and violence, isn't it? But I do think I've found the answer, so stay tuned for my speculations on that. But first, I have to bring up a little incident that happened here in Liverpool. I mean, not here. I'm not in Liverpool, but, well, you know what I mean. Here in the UK. Now, information is trickling in a bit at a time, and I waited as late as I could before making this video to see what comes up. And this is the story so far. On Remembrance Day, when groups of people were due to assemble at war memorials all over the country to honour our military dead and to affirm our unity in the face of existential threat, a group of traitors, you might be a bit surprised that I use that word because it's very much gone out of fashion, hasn't it? But I can't call them men because what they tried to do has put them outside the point where human beings end and poisonous leeches begin. Those traitors planned to explode a bomb, and it looks like they plan to do this in the crowd of old soldiers, town dignitaries, citizens and their children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren assembled at the war memorial for the service of remembrance. Now, this is a bit moot because the bomber ended up in a hospital car park where an explosion would have just damaged a few cars. So we'll have to see how that develops. But so far as I know, the action played out like this. A taxi driver called David Perry became increasingly suspicious about his passenger until he got so worried that he stopped his taxi in a hospital car park, leapt out of the vehicle, locking it as he went, and escaped just before his passenger detonated a device that blew himself and the taxi into whatever hell any god worthy of the name would send him. Now, invoking the Terrorism Act, 5 hours later, the police arrested 4 other invertebrates from a house in Liverpool. They found them so quickly that I reckon it's possible that they had an eye on them already, although it could have been to do with credit card details as well. You know, I don't know. But now they're saying there's a chance of further action, so it means they're aware of some others who might have got away. Who are these potential murderers? With the exception of the 1 or 2 trolls of a certain faith who squat on YouTube channels, including my own, vomiting nonsense, I'm pretty sure that most of you watching this would have the idea that when the names of the detainees are finally released, they won't be in any way similar, linguistically speaking, to the name of the taxi driver, David Perry, I would remind you. Now, let's get on to Enniskillen. It's not only slime balls of the sort currently active in Liverpool who've shown such contemptible, subhuman behaviour. On November the 9th, which was Remembrance Day in 1987, the IRA exploded a bomb next to the war memorial in the Northern Irish town of Enniskillen, killing 11 people and injuring 63. I'll read the names of the dead because I don't want anyone to forget them. Wesley and Bertha Armstrong, aged 62 and 55. Kit and Jessie Johnson, aged 71 and 62. William and Agnes Mullen, aged 74 and 73. John McGaw, 67. Alberta Quinton, 72. Marie Wilson, 20. Samuel Galt, 49. And Edward Armstrong, 52 years old. That was Enniskillen. And then, of course, there's Kenosha, as I was saying before. And all three examples have at least one thing in common. Kenosha rioters, the IRA bombers, and the Liverpool plotters were all relying on the politeness and tolerance of the people amongst whom they moved. That's very important. All three of them, while accusing the victims of being so bad that they deserved what they were getting, at the same time they expect their victims not to be nasty enough to retaliate, which just shows you how screwed up they are. The Kenosha rioters didn't expect the citizens to stop them burning, looting and destroying businesses and infrastructure. The IRA did not expect the people of Enniskillen to notice their Southern Irish accents and rip them apart. No, they expected them to treat them with civility and open-heartedness, which they did. The Liverpool bomber did not expect the taxi driver to refuse his custom, which he didn't, nor the people in the Remembrance Day service, or wherever this guy was going to pop his bomb off, to reject him because of his appearance, which I am guessing is possibly somewhat Levantine. Could be wrong. No, but they relied on the good manners and restraint of the people they wished to kill or destroy their livelihoods. And in every case, the idea was to frighten these good, decent, fair-minded, restrained people into towing the line of whatever agenda they wanted them to follow. And that's what I think lays behind the Rittenhouse trial. It seems to me that any administration with a Democrat majority recently is at the moment in the business of suppressing the populace. They're terrifying them with horror stories of disease, and if that doesn't work, they're loosing mobs on their streets and withdrawing the police. Rittenhouse stood up against this. He shouldn't have. It was a silly thing to do, but he did it. And that made a problem for them. So they had to take the route of making the process, the punishment, however ridiculous it was. As for the IRA, they wanted political control over Northern Ireland. The Liverpool traitors wanted to make people afraid to commemorate our history and our ancestors, in which I might say they are being aided by many a student statue pusher or some fashionably flatulent bureaucrats in museums. Well, Kenosha is proceeding apace over there in the USA. At least we here in the UK can take some comfort in the behaviour of David Perry. He didn't wield a gun, but he did do something particularly brave. That is, he didn't let normal politeness keep him in that car until it was too late. And I want to tell you, I'm not being sarcastic here. Discarding the social conventions, that's quite a difficult thing to do. He bailed out and he locked the doors. And my advice to you good citizens of Kenosha is to do the same thing. You may not have guns, But you can get rid of that town council or administration or whatever you've got there. Get them out and lock those doors. Don't let them back. Their behaviour towards a foolhardy but brave young man proves they intend good for no one but themselves. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the Graniopteryx design or Grambo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.graniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share.